don't know if anybody. Oh, good, it's recorded.
Yes, ma'am. We are recording this entire presentation and the Q&A, and it will upload it all to YouTube, and then we'll put a link on the website, and I will email everyone after the meeting a link to the video so that they can revisit it if they like. And I will also email everyone this presentation. Once we get started and we start going through the slides, you'll see that there's a lot of writing in blue, and those are actual working links that if you have the presentation open on your computer, you can just click on it and it'll take you right to the document that you're looking for on our website.
Wonderful. I'm going to mute now.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Triangle chapter, and Lynn Ginsler is our education director, and she did not get notice of this.
No problem. I will make sure. And actually, I think I sent Lynn an email today, if I'm not mistaken. But I will make sure that she gets everything, not to worry.
Thank you so much. Blessings.
Of course. My pleasure. Thank you. I see Beth has joined us. Beth is Karen. Has Karen joined us? And also Quinn. Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you? Is Quinn here?
I don't think yet. No.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great.
Forgive me. Yes, Quinn is with us.
Want to start, Betty? Just tell me.
So yes, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with us. I give you our executive director, Karen Karpowicz.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. As always in the past, we appreciate all that you do for the ESU and especially this program, which is so much a love of everyone here, which is a cornerstone of what we do. This is a very exciting year. It's a very exciting time for us with the Princess Royal coming in a few weeks, but also the fact too that this is the year that we'll be back in person at Lincoln Center. We're excited about that, but it's also our 40th anniversary of the competition. So we have a lot of exciting things planned this year, and we think it's going to be a spectacular event, and many things that will be happening that will be leading up to it. So without further ado, I want to introduce the chairman of the board of English Speaking Union, Dr. E. Quinn Pieper, who'd like to talk with you today. Quinn?
Hello, everybody. This is indeed a very exciting year. After COVID lockdowns, we're finally coming back together in April, the month of the Bard, the birthday back at Lincoln Center. I think it'll be exciting. We're celebrating 40 years of the Shakespeare competition, but we're also celebrating 400 years of the publication of the first folio, which, as you know, has 36 plays of Shakespeare. And thanks to the folio, we have Shakespeare's plays. There's going to be a lot that you'll hear in the meeting today about how you can participate and getting our program launched. I want to share something with you new that's going to involve Shakespeare. So for 2023, we're going to, as an English-speaking union, celebrate Shakespeare in many different ways. We are reviving the patron level trip. And in years past, we would take trips to England, Scotland, and visit homes and gardens, as well as theater. And we are starting that program again. And this year, the launch is going to be a transatlantic crossing on the Queen Mary 2. And it's going to involve Shakespeare, because the title, I believe the working title is The Bard's Queens on Board. And we will have Dr. Catherine Loomis, who you may know. She's been a judge. She actually started with me the New Orleans Shakespeare competition many, many moons ago. She is going to be our guide, our cicerone, and our Shakespeare expert on board. And then when we get to the London portion of the trip, we are going to go to some of the homes and gardens that were Elizabethan in origin, such as Knoll of the Sackville Wests and Hever Castle, where Anne Boleyn grew up. And we're actually going to spend some time at the Globe Theater, where some of our friends that we have great relationships with over the years are going to give us a special tour. Another program that we're going to launch in January is called Much Ado About Shakespeare. And this is exciting because this is, so much of what we do are for our high school kids and middle school kids, and of course our teachers. But this is a program that you can enjoy and members can enjoy out of their own living room, much like the happy hour programs. But this is going to focus on Shakespeare. And each month we will feature a Shakespeare play, and Dr. Catherine Loomis will be our moderator. And the goal here is to get people involved in reading Shakespeare, get our members, our adult members. The other purpose of the Much Ado About Shakespeare is to help us with fundraising for our competition. We have a Shakespeare endowment, but we are endowment rich at this point, however, operations poor. So typically we like to draw 5% down on an endowment, but that still doesn't cover the cost of having the competition. And what this program is going to do is allow us to raise money so that we can cut the lights on, have programs, provide refreshments for the students, any sort of expense that is involved with getting the kids to New York for their competition. That's what we're trying to do with raising funds in this operational part of the Shakespeare competition. So please be on the lookout for more notices for these special events. And thank you for being here. We appreciate all the work that you do. We are an organization who depends heavily on our educators and volunteers. We really value the relationship we have with you. And without further ado, I'll pass it on to our next speaker.
Quinn, thank you so much. Very excited about talking about our queens and of course bringing more Shakespeare to our audience of Shakespeare lovers throughout the ESU community. And so I thank again Quinn and Karen, and let's begin our Shakespeare competition presentation. May I have the next screen, Bex? Thanks. So to start, apologies if my voice cracks or if I run out of breath. I'm a little under the weather, so apologies for that to begin with. Let's start with the competition wrap up for last year. In 2021, we had 39 branches, and last year we brought it back up to 43, which, considering that a lot of areas were hard hit by COVID, is pretty impressive. And of course, we can never say enough that without our branches, this competition simply would not happen. Branches chose whatever competition format worked best for them, whether it was digital or a combination or all live, and they got support from national. 22 competitions out of the 43 were either digital or hybrid, meaning part live and part digital. We had a revised fee structure that also supported participation. Our semifinals were recorded as we did in 2020 and 2021 in response to COVID, and we had a live via Zoom final as in the previous 2 years. New last year in 2022 is that we expanded our Teacher Recognition Award. So prizes for first, second, and third place teachers. And this is really important because the ESU has a fabulous relationship with the teachers in all of its communities. And this is just another way that we show our appreciation and respect for educators across the country. We also expanded the People's Choice Award from not just first, but now recognizing first, second, and third place. The People's Choice Award has now reached a really significant number of people. We're over 23,000 people, and those are people outside of the ESU. Hopefully, the idea behind it is that this is going to bring exposure to our organization and to our programs, especially amongst young people, our future members. and the people who make our educational programs thrive, of course, our teachers. The commemorative yearbook, which is done and will be going out to all of our Shakespeare coordinators in a little while, has more messages, more colors, more pages than ever before. And I think you'll be very pleased when you see it and you see this tangible reminder of how we came together as a community and put together a wonderful Shakespeare competition. So enough about the past, let's talk about the future. Next slide, please. So I know some of you, I'm a little sick, so I won't be as long-winded as usual, but just in case some of you have to leave us early, I'm going to cover the most important things. So this year obviously is our 40th. So this is going to be a year-long celebration of all things Shakespeare and all things ESU. We're returning to an all-live competition in New York City, and we can't begin to tell you how incredibly excited we are to be doing so. Our tentative date is April 24th, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. But the proximity to the Bard's birthday, we think is just a blessing. A planned return to Lincoln Center. We're working hard on securing that now. But we have lots of irons in the fire, and we're going to have a wonderful location. As the year progresses, we're going to have digital and live workshops, webinars, and more free online resources for our teachers through our partnerships. We are planning at this point a competition weekend full of events with potential packages for parents and teachers and other folks who come as chaperones. And there'll be more details on that a little bit further in the presentation. As in the last 2 years, we are encouraging our branches and encouraging our branches to encourage their schools to choose the safest, most convenient format for their community. It is ultimately up to you how you want to hold your competition, and we want you to know that we're going to be there to support you, whatever you decide. So we would ask, please, that all branches register by September 30th. And those of you who already have, thank you so much. And the fee is due October 31st. If there's a problem, please get in touch with me. We are here to help, and we are here to work with you. We ask that all the branch competitions be completed by March 5th. And that, of course, is because for the first time in 3 years, we're going live. And so we have a very small window to get all the travel arrangements and housing arrangements and everything ready for our branch champions. So now let's go into it in a little bit more detail. So the branch participation form, as I mentioned at the top of the program, you're going to see in this presentation a lot of these blue, bright blue underlined words. So those are active links. I'm sending everyone not only a recording of this, but also this PowerPoint. And this PowerPoint has all these links to all these documents so that you don't have to go looking all over the website. So again, the form, please, if possible, if you could get it back to us by September 30th. Obviously, if you can't, it's not a problem. I understand many branches have their board meetings in October. Just drop me a line if there's anything I can do to help. I'm happy to. The branch fee again by October 31st. But again, any problems, we'll take care of that. So the usual format means the usual fee. So last year we had a digital program and the fee was greatly reduced. This year, our fee remains the same. And for those branches that are MMOA, meaning that they don't have a board and cannot produce the fee, the other option, of course, we have a fee alternative where you charge $75 school fee to non-Title I schools. The ESU, of course, will scholarship any school who can't afford to participate. That is indeed a Title I. It's important to note, as a note of thanks to our branches, our very generous branches, and our incredibly generous members who have made the Shakespeare Competition Endowment a success and who continue to help us make it grow to guarantee the future of the competition in perpetuity. And thanks to your generosity, our fee for the Shakespeare competition has remained stable since 2016, regardless of the fact that things are very expensive now and inflation is going up and the competition gets more expensive every year. It's important to recognize that your generosity makes all of this possible for all of us. So I thank you. If we could go to the next screen, please. So this year in 2023, You Speak, We Listen. Lots of our branch coordinators have asked that we could please just put a page together on the website with all your information so you didn't have to hunt and peck for it. And that's exactly what we've done. On that page, the ESU branches only page, if you go to our website and you go to Shakespeare, you look along the left-hand side, there's a little tab that says ESU branches only. Click on that and you're going to find the Shakespeare participation form, the branch form, the branch winner form, the branch handbook, and links to the school participation forms and the school winner forms, so that if you need to look up a link for your particular branch to send to your teachers, it's going to be right there. You just have to search up your branch. So everything is pretty much in one place. If we go to the next screen, Bex. Thank you. So as always, our competition documents, resources and links are available on a page on our website called Documents and Forms. And again, everyone is going to be getting a copy of this presentation as well as a link to the recording. So you can just click on any of these active links in this document and it's going to take you right where you need to go. So on the Documents and Forms page of the website, you're going to find the monologue packet, the sonnet packet, another copy of the branch handbook, but also the teacher, the student, and judge handbook. There is a remote toolkit for teachers because in some jurisdictions, they're still doing hybrid learning. There's school competition certificates and branch competition certificates. And then there are downloads. So you're going to find a branch pre-competition press release, a branch post-competition press release, and a branch photo release form, all on that page as well. These are actual downloads, which is why they needed to stay on that page, which means I can't give you a link to them. You have to go to that page and then click on them and they'll automatically download onto your computer. Those are all the certificates and the photo release are for your use. And there's all blank lines where you can fill in any information that you like. And because they're Word documents, they're easy for you to change. Next slide. Okay, so now to the good part. So our format and our date for 2023, we are, thank goodness, together again in person, live from New York City, and we couldn't be more excited. It's Monday, April 24th, 2023. We're looking at an entire weekend of activities starting on Saturday, April 22nd to Tuesday, April 25th. And of course, April 23rd being Shakespeare's birthday, it could not have worked out any better. And truly the fates were on our side as we celebrate our 40th anniversary. All branch champions will be traveling to New York City. Again, we encourage branches to please hold your competitions however you deem them the safest. We are planning to have a live competition, and that is our focus, and that is where we're going, and we are so excited. But of course, we understand if things are different in a different part of the country and you feel more comfortable holding a different format, that's fine. And of course, please encourage your schools to do it whichever way you prefer, and we will be here to provide you with as much tech support as we can. The one bit of business that I really ask your cooperation with, if I may, is that all competitions should please be completed by March 5th. The reason being that we, from that point, have to send out, once we get your branch winner form, which should be right after your competition, we then have to reach out to all your branch champions. We have to give them a couple of days to complete the form, the winner packet. Then they're going to send that back to us. Then one by one, we have to go approving airfare or helping folks book airfare and making travel arrangements and figuring out who's going to be staying with their parents, who's going to be staying in the hostel, where we're having dinner, depending on the side of the crowd. There's a lot of logistics that have to take place in a very tiny window between about March 15th and April 22nd. So we ask, please, if there's any way, please, 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 to have those competitions done by March 5th so that we can get the ball rolling and make sure that everything goes smoothly so that we can give our kids the wonderful live experience that we've wanted to for so long. Next slide, please. So about that weekend, we are planning a family-friendly competition weekend. It's an extended weekend from Saturday to Tuesday. Why from Saturday to Tuesday? Well, because we have kids on the West Coast and we have kids in Hawaii. And I know Mark is going to be happy about this. It makes it so much easier for the kids in Hawaii and for the kids in California and anywhere along the West Coast to not have to miss events or miss parties because their flights come in later. This gives us an extra day with the kids. It's a little more work, but we think it's going to be absolutely worth it. And of course, that Tuesday morning, everybody goes back home after the competition, hopefully very happy with their experience. We are offering the hostel for unaccompanied children only. So what does that mean? We are not ignoring the reality of COVID. We understand that COVID is still with us. As Karen often says, it is no longer a pandemic, it is endemic. It is just a reality that we have to contend with. And so we are recommending that parents attend and that parents stay with their children and that they house their children in private hotel rooms rather than having them in the hostel, unsupervised and exposed to folks from all over the world. COVID is a reality that we have to contend with. That does not mean that we are not moving forward. We absolutely are. There is no question we are having a live competition, but there are realities that we have to contend with. And one way to mitigate those realities is to recommend that parents attend and that the children stay with their parents. To that end, we are negotiating a special hotel rate, which will be published as soon as we've got that nailed down, with a local hotel that is run by Sonesta. Our folks in New Orleans will be familiar with the Royal Sonesta on Bourbon, which is a lovely, lovely 5-star property. And the property here, I'll show you a picture in just a moment, is equally lovely and very near ESU headquarters, which is lovely. So as I said, we're encouraging parents to come. But New York City is an expensive city and not everybody can join us and not everybody can afford to. And of course, any child that comes unaccompanied, we are more than happy to take care of for the weekend. That is literally our job and it is our joy. Now, any child that does come, in order to entice parents to come, we are planning to put together a package of activities and parties and events specifically for parents and chaperones that come with their students, and to include the parents in a lot of the things that we do with the kids. So if we can go to, oh, wait, before we move on to the next screen, just one very important note. All parents and chaperones and students, anybody who's going to take part in any of our events has to show proof of vaccination, as that's maybe still required in some venues. So it's just easier if we're uniform about it and ask that everyone be vaccinated. So Bex, next slide, please. So what is this weekend going to look like? So let's talk about that. On Saturday, we have the students arriving and doing the competition check-in at ESU HQ. Our offices, our headquarters are absolutely beautiful. They will soon be visited by the Princess Royal, and the students will be able to see a plaque commemorating that visit. It gives our students from the West Coast and Hawaii, as I mentioned, an opportunity to join us in a timely way that doesn't put extra pressure on them. So that evening, we will do dinner, perhaps at the ESU or restaurant, it depends. There's a lot of booking and a lot of planning that is still in the works. And then we're going to do some fun event, hopefully for everyone. We're hoping to include parents, guardians, chaperones in this, again, as a thank you for coming and chaperoning their students. At the end of Saturday night, all the accompanied students will return to their respective hotels with their parents or guardians, and then the ESU staff will escort unaccompanied students back to the hostel. On Sunday, we were thinking of having a community breakfast right at ESU HQ, and then have all the students gather for the day's activities, beginning with an exclusive workshop, as we had back in 2019, provided by BADA. And we actually had the dean of BADA come and give that workshop. Sunday afternoon finds us having lunch in the theater district in New York City. In 2019, we took everyone to Planet Hollywood, which was a big hit because there were tons of memorabilia from Hollywood stars that the students are very familiar with, famous actors. And this year we may either do that or we may do Ellen's Stardust Diner that the students are very familiar with. It's super famous amongst theater kids. The waiters periodically, sporadically jump up on tables and start singing and dancing. It's a pretty neat experience. We think the kids will get a kick out of it. We will then take them to a matinee theater performance. And we're hoping that this year we can somehow pull off some sort of exclusive experience, such as a backstage tour, which was something that had been planned for 2020 when COVID intervened. So the chaperones and parents package, the chaperones and parents may also be invited to this as part of the package. Sunday evening, in years past, we had a breakneck schedule that created kids who were just exhausted and really felt like maybe they weren't giving their best performance. Sunday evening, we'd like the kids to have a quiet evening, to just relax, get their minds onto the competition, kind of gather themselves and get some rest. Unaccompanied students, there's a mistake there, I apologize. The unaccompanied students will have dinner with ESU staff. Everyone else can spend that kind of nerve-wracking time being supported by their families. So on Monday, all the students will arrive at the venue. Fingers crossed, we're looking at Lincoln Center. We will, of course, observe any COVID protocols that are in place at the time. The competition, we think, will begin around 9 a.m. Again, the format is to be decided exactly how all that scheduling is going to work. We're going to have a luncheon, which is students only, so that they can enjoy this one period of time before any one of them is crowned a finalist or a winner. And then we'll go in for the final rounds with our 10 finalists before a new panel of judges. The competition should end around 5 p.m. on Monday. And then post-competition, there is talk, I believe, and Karen will correct me, of a fundraising event for the adults. And then whatever students are with us, are staying with us, we'll have a celebration or some sort of an experience to give them as a farewell. And the other students, of course, will be able to spend that evening with their parents. The idea of a schedule like this is that it makes it a vacation for the parents, where their child will be busy and will have lots of things to do, but there's still time for them to enjoy New York City as a family. And it encourages parents and makes them feel like they're being included in this ESU event and makes them feel like they're part of the ESU community. And at a time when we're looking at branch health and growing membership and expanding our reach, I can think of no better potential friends than the parents of students who have had this amazing experience of a weekend in New York and performing at Lincoln Center. If we could go to the next slide. Okay, so speaking of our potential venues and activities, of course, in the center there, the crowning glory of Lincoln Center and performing on that stage. Karen, thank you, of course, is working so hard to make that a reality for us. And we're hoping that that's going to happen. On the upper left-hand side, you can see a picture of the Sonesta Shelburne, which is, apologies. One moment, please, if you don't mind.
Anyway, I would just like to add two things to this. First off, that Betty, I was just talking a little bit. I was going to go on a little bit about
Yes, please.
Okay. So first off, as Betty mentioned, we are very close to finalizing a relationship again with Lincoln Center, which, after 3 years is sort of reestablishing that connection. But also the other thing that I wanted to mention was, since this is the 40th anniversary, two things that we're in the process of doing. We talked about the parent package, making the parent package available to parents, encouraging them to come with their with their children, because I think it's been a wonderful event. I think it would be a wonderful experience for the family together. The other thing is the fact that we will continue to work with the competition to do it hybridly, which would mean that we are working to be able to stream the finals, so that if you're unfortunate and you won't be able to come to New York, you'd be able to see it hybrid, streaming it the way we have been doing for the past 3 years. So that's part of what we're taking with us from what we learned from COVID, was the positive feedback we've gotten from that hybrid experience. The third component, which is something that Betty is working on, is, since it's our 40th anniversary, we're making a concerted effort to reach back into our alumni. And even from the preliminary outreach that Betty's doing, it was shocking to us the number of students who've participated in the program who have gone on to be actors. And we are trying to reach out to all of those alums to participate in this post-competition event, for them to be part of what we're doing as part of the celebration. The other thing that I wanted to mention is this parent package will also be available to the branch leadership, meaning if you as a president or as a Shakespeare coordinator want to participate, that package will be available to you also. So we're trying to make it as inclusive as possible and get as many people to New York, either in person or virtually, so we really celebrate the 40th anniversary of this amazing event. So I just wanted to mention that. Betty, did you want to add anything to that?
Yes, absolutely. So we are working hard to find alumni of the competition. Last year, one of our prizes was sponsored by John Way, the son of Mary Way from our Phoenix branch, who, with the help of Southwest Shakespeare, runs that competition. He sponsored one of our prizes, as giving something back from the amazing experience he had as a participant. One of our judges, the last 2 years, Katie Parker, was the winner of the 2001 competition, and she hails from Central Florida. And it turns out that the winner of our very first competition was a young man named Reed Diamond, who, it turns out, is a very well regarded and Emmy-winning actor, who we are trying very hard to contact and see if we can't get him to come back and share some stories about our earlier days. So, as Karen said, we really want to give everyone just a wonderful experience to celebrate our 40th, to celebrate the wonderful Shakespeare community and all the work that so many people put into this for the sake of our kids. So, as one of our coordinators and now a very dear friend from Oklahoma, Paul, pointed out, some of these kids, this may be their only trip to New York City. So we want to make sure that every association is positive, that every experience is wonderful, and that it's something that they never forget. So, as I said, the hotel is the Sinesta Shelburne, which is lovely, has just undergone a gorgeous renovation. We're looking at different options for excursions, such as boat trips around New York City. It's April, so it's a little chilly, but they're teenagers and they don't seem to mind. A double-decker bus, which we've already done with great success. The kids loved it. And of course, we're looking at taking them to a Broadway show, because we think it's really important for them to have that experience as well as young actors. And that doesn't mean that we're limited to just this. There are lots more things that we're planning. So I beg your indulgence, because this is a year-long process. Somebody once said to me, well, gosh, it's a 3-day weekend. It can't be that hard. It's hard if you want to do it right. And we want to make sure that after all the work that our branches put into this, that their champions are treated exactly that, as champions, and that they have this wonderful experience, and that they and their families feel a connection to the ESU for many years to come, for the rest of their lives. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, so another thing that I'd like to point out is this. I believe we started this last year or the year before, the National Shakespeare Competition Coordinators Facebook group. And it's been up there for a year, and so far I only have 12 members, so I feel like an abject failure. So if nothing else, out of pity for me, please join. But seriously, why should you join this community? It's a forum for you to share ideas with each other. I've now been at the ESU for 5 years. This will be my 5th competition, but there are some of you that have been doing this competition for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Our friends in Cleveland go all the way back to 1988, and those are things that need to be recognized. I have learned so much from our branch leadership and members and coordinators. I cannot thank you enough, and it would be wonderful if you all could share those ideas with each other. It's a forum where you can ask questions and get advice on specific problems or challenges that you face within your own communities. It's a great place to create community. We are, after all, our strength is in our members and in our connectedness and in our ability to collaborate with each other. So this is a forum to do exactly that. Again, the experience of veteran coordinators, because I most certainly don't know everything. And also, it's a great opportunity to inspire new coordinators and be inspired by them. We do have some new coordinators coming in, some new schools and some of our branches in Florida that are taking over the competitions for us, and we welcome them and we are grateful to them, and they bring new ideas and new energy, and that's always a wonderful thing. So again, this is the link to join. I don't expect you to remember that. So that is going to be in the email, and of course it will be on the website when we post this presentation. You do have to have a Facebook membership to join, but that is free and fairly easy to walk through. I think, may we go to the next screen? Okay, so that brings us to the end of our presentation. I see that we have a couple of questions in the chat. And thank you, Jennifer. Jennifer says she loves the new options. And yeah, absolutely. So the ESU, whether we realize it or not, has always been a cutting edge organization. We were giving scholarships to African American students back in the 60s. We had the first gap year program back in the 20s. I like to think that we're always ahead of the curve. And the competition grows and it changes and it adapts, and it's going to keep doing so to stay relevant. And it's all thanks to people like you, Jennifer, and all the wonderful people at our branches that that fuel that forward motion. Randy and Diane asked if outdated COVID cards are okay, and I'm going to guess you mean that the state cards are expired. You know what? Let me look into that. And let me get back to you offline. That could be a good topic for our Facebook group. I'll do a little bit of research because I don't claim to be an expert on that. I'm not sure what the restrictions are in New York City at present. Right now, I don't believe there's really much of anything, but things change. So, you know, that's something to look out for. If we could, Bex, if we could close the presentation and then make the screen big, just so we can see if anybody has a hand up or if anybody has any questions or comments. I see Ralph. Hi, Ralph. I got your email. I responded to you today. Thank you so much. As Karen said, part of our fundraising this year is going to be an outreach to our alumni, many of whom have found great success in the arts and theater, and you know that's important to recognize. But in addition to the fundraising, we also consider that that's something really inspiring for our students and something that makes kids want to do this competition. There are those who think that competitions are passé, and the reality is that we've worked really hard to make sure that our competition is academically sound, pedagogically sound, that we have supports in place for teachers. We know that recruiting teachers is one of the hardest things that our branches face. And by providing a lot of resources to make it easier for our teachers, we hope that we're helping you grow your competitions so that we can celebrate the next 40 years. Are there any questions or any comments? I see Polly. Hi, Polly. You're muted though. I can't hear you. Can someone?
Polly, you should be
Wait,
seeing.
now,
Oh, there
now
we go.
can you hear
Yes.
me?
Thank you.
Yes.
I just have a quick question. I'm curious how much has been raised in the Shakespeare endowment.
That's a good question, and I don't have those numbers.
I have those numbers. We've raised, as of last year when the market was doing really well, we were just over $1 million. Unfortunately, one of the downsides of endowment is we have to assess where we are given the decline in the market. But as of right now, we were at $1 million.
Okay, great, thanks.
I have a question in the chat from Allison on the West Coast. You may have already answered this, but for those of us on the West Coast that joined late, when and where will this meeting be shown again? I missed the very beginning. Allison, no problem. So I am going to send out an email with this entire presentation and links to the recording of this presentation on our website and on YouTube. So I will make sure that everybody has all those resources. And the slideshow that I just did that I'll be emailing you has live links so that you don't have to go looking all over the website for important documents. They're all in one place now. So that hopefully will make it more convenient. Jennifer?
Yeah, hi there, Betty.
Hey.
I'm great. How are you? I had a comment and a question. So the first thing was that last year, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, and we experienced there were a lot of our teachers who left the profession. And so I'm just, I don't know how things stand yet. I'm going to do the outreach in the best, most sort of assertive way that I can do it. But I'm putting it out there that it was rough. It was hard to get people last year, but this year, I mean, I'm gonna give it. I'm all in, but I'm just saying that I've already heard from teachers that I know who were my standby, 20 years in the profession, and they're just not, So I don't know. I'm gonna just I'll keep checking like the Facebook chat but I'll report back on my progress. But I just wanted to put that out there that, it might be initially challenging to get a bunch of schools, as many as we normally would, but we're still optimistic. And then the information that Karen and Quinn were sharing earlier, I mean, I know they were speaking, you said you're going to send out the PowerPoint, but will that information also be in there, what they were saying?
So that's going to be on a separate, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Karen.
Okay. No, I was going to say that particular program is being finalized now and will be presented. The online program, the Queens of Shakespeare, or the Much Ado About Shakespeare, will start in January, and it will be a digital event. And we're trying to encourage branches, if they want to do local events. One of the things we'd like to do is work with branches to see if we could help them do local events for Shakespeare that could help them raise money for their programs. So we'd like to see if we could give you support in terms of doing fundraising for your own programs, which I think I know in a lot of branches have been talking about that. One of the things that we're also working on, and I know we've talked about this with Polly and in Denver, is the notion of partnerships. And Betty mentioned the relationship with Southwest Shakespeare that led us to relationships with the Utah Shakespeare Festival, which is one of the best Shakespeare festivals in the country. And one of the things that we're very committed to, because we think that this would help you as a selling point with regard to your schools, are these local partnerships, because these local partnerships will make it very attractive for the teachers to sell these programs. within their own schools. So that's something that we're very committed to in terms of whatever resources we can give you. We have no problem getting on a phone call with you with whatever local Shakespeare organization that you want to partner with or engage with to help you make that connection. Because, I mean, we have a lot of ammunition. We have a relationship with the Lincoln Center. We bring kids to Lincoln Center annually. It's something that's quite amazing that very few organizations do, which we should promote. And because it's an opportunity of a lifetime. And the research into our alumni group has really shown us that the number of students that actually go into the profession or just say that it's impacted their lives in a way that is impossible to measure is very important. And we want to get that message out. So whatever help we can be, and we do encourage the partnership model, but also from Betty's idea with the Facebook connections in areas where you're challenged by teachers and schools which are having difficulties, you know, maybe we can help each other in terms of coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And
Sure.
my last question was really about T-Lab. If the T-Lab scholarships, is everything for T-Lab sort of like on track and
On track, totally on
okay.
track for next year. We were on track for this summer, but unfortunately, I mean, it was you know, we had people over there, but we didn't have the numbers that we were hoping, but we are totally on track with T-Lab for next year.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Yeah, recruitment is a problem. I mean, as a former teacher myself, I can tell you that out of my grad school cohort, there are maybe 2 or 3 of us left out of 70 teachers. It's just a reality of education in America at this moment. And I think it's important for us, and I'm so glad that you asked that, because it's important for us to focus on that and to recognize that the ESU makes a huge contribution educationally through these programs. There are a lot of teachers like me once upon a time that are new teachers that are just drowning. And the ESU creates this wonderful competition that really helps teachers. It's pedagogically sound. There's resources there. There's even resources if you're teaching remotely. And the idea is that, you know, in the Common Core, you have to teach Shakespeare. It's in there. It's the only author that is. And we're giving you a way of incorporating it into your curriculum that doesn't cost you any extra work, because we're going to give you the lesson plans thanks to our friends in Central Pennsylvania, Sue Biondi, who is just a genius and wrote beautiful lesson plans for us. I think Sue might be on the call, but if she's not, Bonnie is, and she can attest to how great they are. And, you know, when we provide resources for teachers, we make it more likely that that teacher is going to stay in the profession. And I've heard from a lot of teachers who said, thank you for this. It's hard to get kids engaged in Shakespeare. And if you can get them up on their feet and have them own it, then so much the better, and more profound their connection to the text. So we are definitely doing a very good thing here in terms of the students and the teachers out in America who are really challenged right now because of COVID and lots of other factors. So I think Paul had his hand up. Paul, did I see you? This is Paul from Boston. Hello.
Hello. Betty, just a terrific presentation, very useful knowledge, just very, very helpful. And it's going to be terrific and give us impetus, I think, in going forward to our competition. Just 2 quick points.
Sure.
About 10 years ago, I took a group of high school students to New York, and one of the highlights was a backstage tour of Radio City Music Hall.
Hi.
And it's sometimes easier to do that than to get a backstage tour of a legitimate theater on Broadway. And if I don't know what is happening during the month of April, but you might check to see if there's any sort of a production going on. And one of the highlights is they actually had Rockettes given the backstage tours. And when you realize these Rockettes are only 2 or 3 years older than the students, it made a great impression on them. So it's something that you might think about in lieu of a backstage tour of a Broadway theater.
Yeah.
The second thing is, Karen, is that about 3 years ago, and in 2019, I started working with the Bank of America Foundation. uh, in the Boston area, and we were moving down the pike with them. And if there's any sort of a kit that National might have as it relates to not only local sponsorship, but a national sponsor. Bank of America obviously is a nationwide organization. And if there are benefit points or sales points or anything that you can share with us, because Boston is very active. Bank of America does a lot to support high school and college programs in our area. I don't know what they're doing in the rest of the country, but they're also a national organization, and you have to present yourself in a very professional way with them. So anything that you could share with us
Well,
in our presentation would be very useful.
yeah, I want to say one thing. We do get some grant money from a foundation called Achilles Bodman. So we have done grant applications for Shakespeare, and I'm sure that we could easily help you with the grant writing.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Definitely help you with regard to grant writing, because we've got boilerplates, definitely. And yeah, I mean, the Radio City Music Hall is a lot of fun. I don't know if it's back post-COVID, but right before in 2019, the kids were going to see To Kill a Mockingbird, and they were going to actually go backstage and meet the actors.
Perfect.
At To Kill a Mockingbird. So hopefully whatever play we get to this year, we'll have a similar experience. But that's always great. But whatever help you need in terms of any kind of grant writing, we're available. Okay.
Thank you, Ken.
I think it's important to note, along the lines of what Paul was saying, that there are a lot of fun opportunities for things like that in New York City, and the ESU's reach is a lot wider than we think. And the young man who was going to make that backstage tour possible for us at To Kill a Mockingbird back in 2020, that young man had been a judge who we found through one of our Shakespeare teachers. So I am not above bending the knee, begging and borrowing to create fun events for our kids. So rest assured that we were going to find something fabulous for them. And the Rockettes, I think, is really cool. That's a really fun idea.
That's a great tour. That is a great tour. It is a
great tour. It's super fun. Did I miss anyone else's hand? Does anybody else have a comment or a question? I see Bruce. Bruce, hi.
Hi. I know it's a sort of a related competition, but the Shakespeare writing competition that got started last year, do you know when there might be information available for that competition for 2023?
So yes, actually, can I have the presentation back up, and I'll give you folks just a real brief rundown of what's happening with that. Bex, are you still there? Did she go?
No, I'm here. Sorry.
Oh, there she is. Bex, can you just put up the presentation real quick, just 2 seconds?
Yes, from which slide would you like?
Start from the Q&A slide, and then I'm going to move in a little bit.
Give me just 1 second.
Sorry about that, folks. I just wanted to show you one thing. I didn't know if we were going to run long or not, so that's why I stopped things when I did. But so keep going. Okay, next slide. Okay, so these are slides I already had prepared to show you in case we had the time. So we have launched the writing program. Now, this was just a beta year, meaning that it was testing out and trying things just to see what was going to happen. The idea, of course, was that we were going to create a program that was going to add value to a student's connection to the ESU, but that also it was going to support our teachers, and most importantly, that it was going to enrich our branches by creating opportunities for our branches to interact more profoundly with their communities. So we're looking at the 3 competitions are the Modern Troubadour that launched and ended. That was March 25th. The deadline was, I believe, those dates are not correct, but we did announce the winners at the Queen's Jubilee, which was terrific. The synergy, as we used to say in the 90s, was fantastic. So we ended the competition. The theme, obviously, of the Jubilee was, and God rest the Queen, of course, was the Queen's Green Canopy. The young lady who won wrote a beautiful poem about the environment. It just connected so beautifully between our wonderful branches and the observations of the Queen's Jubilee to this writing program. Going on right now is the first launch, the beta launch of the Evelyn Wrench Shakespeare Essay Award, which is very, very, very high rigor. And this is for high school students. We opened it June 15th. And I know that sounds sort of a little odd to open it at the end of the school year, but this is for essays. This is for academic essays. So you want to see the end result, everything that these kids learned during the course of the year. Evelyn Wrench was a journalist and a writer, and we're honoring his legacy by honoring students who maybe are not creative writers, but are great analysts of Shakespearean writing. And hopefully we're going to be announcing the winner of that at the AGM. The last competition, which will launch very, very soon, is I Am Shakespeare. And that, again, is for high school students only. That is going to launch before the end of the year. And that is creative writing, but a very high academic rigor. So if I could go to the next slide, please, Bex. Bex, can I get the next one? There she goes. Oh, wait a minute. Nope. Go back one. Sorry. There we go. Perfect. So this is what happened with the Modern Troubadour. This is the only one that has wrapped already. It was the first event of the National Shakespeare Writing Program. We launched in March. As I said, we announced the winner at the Queen's Jubilee. We got submissions from across the United States. 11 different branches were represented. This one was open to both middle and high school students, and this was the first time that the ESU made inroads into specific student communities, such as English language learners and special education students. We presented an opportunity for some of the winning branches to participate, and Karen, I believe it was it not Greenwich that did something with one of the winners
Yes.
of the competition?
Yes.
So they had them to one of their events. And I mean, Karen can speak more of that, but the idea was to create, through this writing program, an opportunity for branches to connect with their communities with zero hassle, zero time commitment. What National wants to do is create programming that supports branches, that enriches their experience without creating a cost center and without creating more work, because we understand that everyone's bandwidth, is narrower these days. It's as simple as that. If you would go, Bex, to the next slide, please.
I just want to finish up on one thing, Betty.
Yes, of course, sorry.
When you send out, I don't know if everyone's seen it, but when you send out the deck, would you send out the performance of the young woman that won the Queen's Jubilee?
Yes, absolutely.
And the second thing is that we're hoping that whoever wins the next competition, which is the Evelyn Wrench essay contest, that we will have the winner and we'll announce it in Charleston. That's our goal, to announce that in Charleston. I mean, it'll be announced before, but to actually do a presentation of the winner, whoever the winner is, at Charleston. But go on, Betty. I know you want to talk about the partnership model.
Sure. And then the partnership initiative. So this is something that we're actively working on right now. And what is the idea? The idea is to have a handbook, and that's sort of a proposed cover, what it might look like, to grow membership, to help our branches create partnerships between themselves and local organizations. The reality is that the ESU, for a great many years, did very little to promote itself because it didn't need to. We had these really strong branches that supported the organization, and we were, I don't want to use the word insular, but we were very private. Well, times have changed, and we want to market ourselves because we're an amazing organization, and we're populated by wonderful giving people, and we need more people to be a part of this, right? So the idea is to gain exposure for the ESU, to find us partners in the nonprofit community. We have two great advantages. First and foremost, our branches, our members, our boots on the ground who give so much and spend so much of their time. And that is really essential to who we are as an organization. The second thing is we have a sterling reputation. We are a well-respected organization. And thirdly, we have an endowment. A lot of these other organizations are not 100 years old. They don't have boots on the ground the way that the way that we do. They don't have membership. By finding partners and creating these sort of symbiotic relationships, we can help our branches flourish. We can gain all the benefits of their donor system, of their members becoming our members, of their content being shared with our members. So who is a potential audience for this partnership initiative? We're looking at arts institutions, universities, colleges, museums. Here in New York, we've worked very closely with the Morgan Museum. And right now we're helping them launch their writing competition. And we're sort of going to be a supporter of that because they did with us 2 years ago the Frankenstein competition. There are many prestigious schools in many of our branches. I am thinking of Washington, D.C. specifically. Hello, Donovan. I see you there, who is a sponsor of the Madera School, who sponsors the competition in Washington, D.C. These are wonderful educational institutions that give so much back to the ESU and back to their communities. There are theater companies like Southwest Shakespeare. There are Shakespeare organizations like the wonderful folks in Rhode Island that are, Kristen, I'm not sure if you're on the call, but because I can't see you right now, but there are lots of organizations that want to work with us. And the idea is that rather than reinventing the wheel, we're going to create this tool for our branches that when you go to an organization, you can go, here you go. Here's who we are. Here's what we're about. Here's what we can do for you. Here's what we would like to do with you and what you can do for us. The idea is to support our branches while respecting their individuality, while respecting that every community is different and that every branch has different priorities. I think, is that the, I think that's the last slide, right, Bex?
Yeah,
Other
I
than-
just want to
let's go
say
back.
one more thing about the partnership. Oh, you don't have to go back. I just want to encourage, as I said, Betty and I are available to help with any kind of partnership. If you need our help in terms of promoting the program to a potential partner. The one thing we do ask is because, you know, your impact is your locality, meaning that you're part of a local community. Our impact is helping you sell it. So, you know, I think that between the two of us, we could probably create a very good case for why arts organizations should partner with the ESU at this particular point. So whatever help we can be, Betty's mentioning materials, but we're also, you know, we're also available to strategize and to also, you know, do, you know, help you with the presentations too. So.
Right. I think a lots of folks in nonprofit these days talk about think globally and act locally. Well, I'd like to borrow that and say we're going to think coast to coast, but we're going to remember that our strength lies in the wonderful connection that our branches have to their local communities. So Bex, I think we can take the presentation down now and see if there are any other questions. We're about 3 minutes over and I apologize for that. But if there are any other questions, please let me know. Oh, I see Karen. Hi, Karen. Karen Blair Brown. Hi,
I'll just say that last comment, Betty, was very important to think, you know, nationally, but act locally. That's so important to build our branches and to, you know, keep things going. The local partnerships are so important. That's how we survive in central Pennsylvania.
It's exactly right. It's exactly right. We're here to support you. We're here to provide you with tools, not to burden you with expense or responsibilities, but rather to create innovative programming that you can bring to your communities. And hopefully, you know, we're going to keep this thing going, the ESU for another 100 years, the competition for at least another 40. And really, I recognize, and I think everyone recognizes, that it's our community that makes us strong. You know, there are lots of organizations that just don't have the heart and soul that we do. And it's because of our members. It's because of this amazing commitment that, you know, has been going strong for 100 years. And we're really aware of that at National. And I hope you all know how much we appreciate and respect everything that all of you do. Is there anyone else?
I'll just say, come on, Betty, we can go more than another 40 years.
I would hope so. Well, I'm 54, so that means I'll still be going strong at 94. Yeah, okay. We can do it. We can do it. If I could just get COVID one more time, we'll be fine. Is there anyone else? Alrighty. In that case, Karen, with your blessings, I will close the meeting. I think Quinn may have left us. Quinn, of course, has a very, very busy schedule. Oh, Judith, hello. I think Judith's son has joined us, and he's also a fan of the competition. I really want to thank all of you so much. It is like being with family. This is my 5th competition, and I can't thank all of you enough for everything I've learned from you, and for your dedication, and for the kids. And we're going to make this an awesome year, and we're going to do it together, and we're going to do it live. Yay! No more Zoom. Alrighty, we'll see you again soon. Please email me if you need anything. And again, thank you. Thank you all so very, very much for everything. And we'll talk again soon.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Betty.
Bye-bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you,
Oh, my
Betty.
pleasure. Bye now.
Thank you, Betty, Karen, bye.
Bye. Bye.